did also make it to the grand final, so eventually they did win. Can they eventually still win now?
I am liking what we're seeing out of CAG here. Dep on the Widowmaker. We've already seen his success on that so far. We do have Anakin on Brigitte. He has been playing a fair amount of that lately. Decent against the Sombra, but that's not what Talon are running here. They're going double sniper. This is old school.
It certainly is. Not that old school. When you think of it as old
Feels
school,
like it is.
Yeah, we've taken a little bit of time away from double sniper now, but Bazzi seemed very confident to take down Dep, and the Widow versus Widow is something we haven't really seen much of so far in the series.
Kind of puts the pressure on CAG, or at least on Dep. He's got a lot to answer for in this situation. It can be doable, and as the distances close, that's where CAG really have their opportunities.
Members already low on Talon Esports, by the way. You can see the pressure from CAG's been good.
Kenma Hororo, though, speaking of low, has to pull back, get himself topped off. They're doing a good job of keeping the pressure on that Diva.
You see the cart sort of come up towards that high ground. This is when Talon want to get quite aggressive. They want to find an opening here, enable those two snipers. We're nearly up to that Dragon Strike.
That's going to have to be the real swing. Ultimate goes ahead and commits it, rakes it across Teo. Yeah, that is a really nice use of the 1.27 nano boost. Gives you that 500 health now. This is decent now from Teo, but they don't get much out of the boost. It's Kenma Hororo who finds the back line out. And this is where Talon can't really stand up to the big dive in from the tank line from CAG.
It's only 300 HP bonus, but at the same time, the additional healing coming out of Claire is very effective. I mean, I guess if you've chucked that bio nade down, you certainly get a lot more HP. But for CAG, this is exactly the kind of defense, because now they've won that opening fight. They get to rotate into some ultimates. Kenma Hororo as well does now lose his mix, so that's a little unfortunate.
There's the rally out as well, and Kenma Hororo is not going to benefit from it. Teo as well as low, pops the Primal Rage. He's looking for something off to the side here, trying to trap Persia in a corner, pops out the Transcendence. They need to get these connections. There we go, getting TYG just shy of a second. Dragon Strike, Agora can reset this mech if it doesn't get shut down here. But the kills are still coming through for CAG. Bazzi's now low, he goes down to the dive from Teo. CAG looking to set up on this defense.
Dragon
Strike doesn't save it for Talon. They're just going to accept the loss here.
And now Talon Esports, yep, gonna have to back out. Got some decent progress there. Got very low members on the CAG side. If you looked at Dep's HP there, Talon Esports were expecting to pick up a lot more kills than they actually did. But then we had the Transcendence out from Paragon. I was kind of looking at that particular support player because Claire went down reasonably early, so he was solo healing. Still had a Transcendence to play with. Now, if more members went down, if Dep wasn't saved, if Teo wasn't saved, things go so poorly for CYCLOPS at League Gaming. But they're able to rescue themselves. They're able to continue defending.
And this is what we said they needed on the defense. Oh, nice headshot out of Dep.
Easy peasy.
His counterpart. Now it's all on TYG to get those counter trades. Talon is going to back off for a moment.
It's just additional slowdown. It's just more time for CAG to set themselves up to get closer to ultimates, Nano Boost, and Rally, and soon to be Primal Rage. All very important for CAG.
And Talon are going to have to fight through all of it. They don't have much time to work with for said fight. What they do is a close respawn. Oh, good catch on Kenma Hororo. Forces the self-destruct as he resets his mate.
Oh no!
Bad news! Teo straight in and goes down. Sabbath God has to shift as that Dragon Strike rakes across him. But
and he's down.
Getting out Bazzi finds that. Dep does get one back, needs more than just that. And this is where Kenma Hororo does not have the self-destruct to reset the mech. Has to do it the old-fashioned way. Looking for Bazzi. Doesn't find it. This is good for Talon.
We need to see Taro get back in. He still has a Primal Rage, so it's still very defendable. Buy some time for the rest of the team.
Oh, Gagora with the self-destruct. He scatters them as Tayo's to go off one side, the rest of the other. And Persia with that Transcendence. They're going to demech Kenma Hororo again. Oh, Villeneuve, though, down, did not get to use a Primal Rage. Not great for them. Tayo, on the other hand, he's starting to come alive a little bit. Gagora's in trouble, stunned up, getting topped off though by these healers, but finally demech.
5 seconds.
I think CAG maybe have what they need. They close out on Gagora. TYG, he's looking to come back in on a Tracer. They lose Haru. Persia trades one back. Villeneuve, he's got a Primal Rage, but he's fighting through a Transcendence.
This is it.
God, this is the last hurrah. CAG might just call hold here as the overtime 6 down. Villeneuve getting drilled down on this payload. CYG avoids that pulse bomb, but not the straight train guns of Dep. CAG just looking to complete that hold, and we are getting flashbacks now to Eichenwalde.
That looked so clean from CAG overall. When you look at Temple of Anubis, you compare it to this, very similar on that A point, and we started to see a very good trend here across 3 maps in a row. Eichenwalde, Temple of Anubis, now Watch Point Gibraltar. It's that A point defense. It's that very opening defense that CAG have seemingly just mastered here. You can imagine if they fully held on Temple of Anubis, maybe they win that map as well. This is now a super winnable map for them, and it's about the recovery. It's something that we talk about for this team for CAG, because there are a lot of moments where they're ahead and they don't win. There are a lot of moments when they're behind and they don't seem to be able to come back. Not in the way that Talon Esports have been able to come back, but this time around, players go down. Tayo doesn't use the Primal Rage. This time you can't really blame the Sombering on the other side. There was no hack. He just straight up did not use the Primal Rage. That's a mistake that could have cost CAG. That's a mistake that really could have hindered that defense. They would have got on to B. Anything happens after that, once we get on to B, maybe Talon Esports finish the entire map. Who knows? But the point is, CAG, they're able to get him back in, able to get the Transcendence after that. Depp comes in as Tracer. They finish that defense.
And that's the thing. That's what they couldn't do on Temple of Anubis, where they nearly had that full hold. Then just a few too many things didn't quite go right. Talon ended up getting the full cap out and then took the map. So this time around, very different tune here. They did complete that full hold. You see where that payload ended. That's as far as CAG need to go to win this one. Tie up the series once again. Talon really have their work cut out for them on the defense.
And Bazzi had a quiet game as a Widowmaker. He had a little bit of impact, but compared to Depp, it's one-sided. I mean, Depp was out-sniping him in the head-to-head Widowmaker duel as well. Depp was getting additional pressure. You can see that Talon Esports are very much respecting the Widowmaker pressure out. This is exactly why Watchpoint Gibraltar is such a good map for CYCLOPS Athlete Gaming. And so far, every single time a team has gotten to pick their map, I mean, they've been able to win.
Sticking to what works as well for CAG. Same thing that they used on the defense. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Talon are the ones who could change it up. TYG onto the Tracer as he was playing right at the end of their attack.
And because they're running a Tracer, you need to see that backline pressure. You need to be able to shut down Depp. I'm expecting both Bazzi and TYG to specifically be looking out for Depp because he has been the clutch player.
Well, there you have it. TYG looking to go right into the back line.
Good protection.
They're aware of that being the win condition for Talon, or at least a goal for Talon, an objective. So CAG keep it moving. Well,
first attempt's been unsuccessful. And the other thing here that's great is Amma can play the Brigade. It means he himself can protect Depp. He can get a nice stun onto TYG. That's an instant pick for CAG. And what they can do with instant picks is win the game.
He does still have to keep tabs on those supports, though, make sure they are staying safe. But this is where Depp can start to use that verticality. It's Talon who have to contest him.
The dive for him. Bazzi's on low.
Oh dear, but he does still find the headshot. Didn't go down. That's rough now as Teo as well. Sabotage. Now Bazzi's starting to come alive. This is what he wasn't able to do on their attack, but showing that he does have the Widowmaker chops. This first push from CAG, not quite going to be the successful one.
Yeah, this was always going to be favored for CAG, but no one said it was going to be easy, and certainly Talon Esports, they're going to really push CAG as much as they can, as far as they can, and this is now Ultimates coming online for Talon Esports, very similar to what we saw on CAG's own A-point defense. The difference here, though, is the fact that CAG themselves are quite close to Ultimates, so there is a world now where maybe Talon Esports don't get good enough value out of these ults. That's one way they can lose this.
Talon, they have really got the Christmas tree going on here. Pressure on CAG.
I think it's eaten.
Bomb out, yeah, got eaten, unfortunately. They've still got a lot at their disposal, throwing out the infra sights, looking for the opening pick. Tayo's low, he's going to go down for that one as TYG does get that flank. Now CAG, they've got to decide, do they back out here, do they wait?
I think they just go aggressive here. They need to get these ultimates out. CAG got to dive in. They got to force some of these Transcendences, some of these Primal Rages. They have the time to do enough. They wait too much longer, they won't have time to lose fights anymore.
Tayo has respawned, so he'll be able to rejoin them as the fight breaks out. They're still just looking for their angle in. Looking like maybe they want to flank around a Persia, who may have to commit it. There we go, there's the Transcendence. That is a nice force out of CAG. You can use the rally now. It's looking to be time for their commit. Agora out with a self-destruct. Not going to get any casualties from that, though.
Primal
Rage now out of Tayo, but he's getting drilled down. He's in trouble.
Oh, save!
Barrier saves him. Sabotage as well. Still is a Transcendence if they need it to top him off. But Talon, they're the ones getting low. Agora out of the mech. This is what CAG need. This is how they're going to get their opening in this fight. Bazzi pressured. Oh, there we go.
Getting Depp down is so good.
Finally getting Bazzi. It took a while. Looked like maybe it was going to fall the other way. Even with these tanks low, they're alive. Kenma Aurora can reset thanks to self-destruct. Villeneuve's down. Talon fast losing presence on this payload.
And they need the tanks back in here. Villanio still respawning. There's no mech for Gogora either. Who can even touch the point here? It's got to be a DPS.
CYG does get on it, but Gogora is not going to join him. And now Talon, with the last few members they've got, they do at least have a Transcendence from Persia. That's his second one in a very short amount of time. Res on Gogora, but that's all Haru will get. Gogora will also not remake. Kale Hororo does get popped out, but that is the last thing Talon will find. And
this is going to be a cap.
Villanio drops, the cap to come over, and again, CAG tie us up. We are 2 for 2 now. We are really starting to go the distance in this series.
And these teams are hitting each other blow for blow. Every single time a team picks a map, they're able to win it. And it's been so important, look, CAG, when they get these really good maps in their favor, maps like Eichenwald, the maps like Watchpoint Gibraltar, when they can really unlock some of these players. It's not always super clean, but they can get a full hold onto A that's so big, they just need to do a little bit to be able to finish those caps, and they're able to finish those caps. And this is why you got to go back to Temple of Anubis, because that was, again, nearly a full hold onto A. If that was that full hold, this could probably have been a 3-1. This is now, you know, CAG looking pretty dominant. I got to say, like, across the 4 maps we've played, it's been CAG kind of being in the lead, and I'm going to include Temple of Anubis in this discussion because if it wasn't for some very small errors, that probably would have been their map too.
It's interesting, isn't it? When they're winning, they look so convincing, and when they're losing, it does feel like they are winning until they're losing. The thing that, I mean, as much as, that's
I checked the facts on that one, it's true.
Yeah, you got the same? Okay, let's compare notes. But like, you get what I mean, right? Like, they look like the better team in a lot of ways, and then some things go wrong. Talon really capitalize, they punish mistakes, and Talon end up taking it out. When it's CAG winning, it's like these dominant full holds, it's great attacks, it's like single dominant fights that push it over the line for them. They're looking good, but the thing they've really got to do now, what they haven't been able to do so far, beyond just having those dominant wins and completing those good situations, they've got to win on Talon's map pick. We go back to control now. Lijiang Tower is off the board, and we do know that CAG have a strong Ilios and a strong Oasis, so I think this could be, indeed maybe should be, where CAG can take the lead in the series.
Yeah, you'd expect map 5 to be that, you know, when you go back onto control. And the other thing you have to sort of look at here, well, first of all, you can't full hold A on control, so Talon got that going for them. But secondly, we're seeing a lot of small errors kind of cost CAG, and sometimes it doesn't really cost them. Sometimes they don't get fully punished. Like, for example, you know, we see that 8-point defense on Gibraltar. Tyro dies without Primal Raging. Many times you'd expect that probably costs a lot of teams. You know, you lose that point because of that one mistake, but they're able to recover just in time. They're not always able to recover, but that time they did. Even that risky push on Gibraltar A when they're on their own attack, they go through the server room, go upstairs. It doesn't really enable depth. It takes a long time. Yeah, they got 4 minutes, but, you know, you're not always guaranteed to get it in that 4 minutes just because you have that time. It did take CAG a decent amount of that 4 minutes to actually finish that cap, to actually finish pushing that cart the full distance, and you have risky situations where, look, 5 members are going up the stairs, Tyro's by himself, he Primal Rages, nearly dies, a sliver of HP, saved by Claire's sound barrier there. That could have not hit. That could have easily been Tyro going down super early. The sound barrier is only on 5. You know, then you're in a lot of trouble there. Maybe the Transcendence then doesn't come out on time. A lot of things when the stars align for CAG, and that's kind of how I felt about their game plan Eichenwald. Just the stars aligned, things that needed to happen happened exactly when it was appropriate, when it was required for CAG, and they come out with the victory that way.
And I think you got to really compliment as well. Like, if we go back to this notion of like, yeah, you got 4 minutes, that is plenty of time, but it's still not guaranteed. The important thing is they had actually set themselves up to be in that situation. So it's not only things happening at the right moment on that attack to make that happen, it's also setting themselves up to be in that winning situation on the defense. That's what Talon were able to do, for example, on Temple of Anubis, where they stopped CAG from getting the cap in the overtime. They had just about 4 minutes to work with. Again, it's not guaranteed, but you set yourself up to have that winning situation, and then you convert off it. And that's the important thing. It's interesting that both of these teams have had the wins happen in those similar situations. It's been full holes that then create the win for whoever wins.
And that's the thing, right? Because on Temple of Anubis, we didn't see that, and then Talon Esports able to get such a good snowball play because of, again, just small mistakes on the CAG side. That's how they lost. And if you look at this map selection screen right here, Lijiang Tower went the way of Talon Esports. So as much as we say Oasis and Control in general as a game mode looks good for CAG, well, they didn't actually win Lijiang Tower, so there is a world here where Talon Esports, it's their map pick. You got to think, Every team that's picked a map so far has won. There's no reason Talon couldn't also win here.
One thing I do have to say, though, we don't quite get the pure poetry of this being a potential winner for CAG. We have had that so many times.
We have.
The map 5 Oasis, but it's been tied up and it's been a winning situation for CAG. But because this is a best of 7, no such one. Not that I mind, though.
This is still a good map for, I think, both teams in various situations. When you get to University, you kind of favor here. Talon Esports, they're going to go for a 3-3 goat, something like that. They've been very proficient with that so far. You go to something like here, City Center, then also into Gardens as well, you know, assuming we make all 3 of these rounds, which, you know, would be pretty...
Knowing CAG, I feel like we will.
That's the thing, right? It seems fairly predictable here that we are going to go to all 3 rounds, but you go to maps like City Center, Depp onto the McCree. Anakin could be playing the Fire here. If he's playing the Brigida, that's fine as well, but you could expect the Fire to come out. These are all still very good picks for Talon, for CAG.
Well, gates open. One thing is for sure, at the end of this, someone will be at match point at long last, so that's kind of putting the pressure on.
So early predictions here, you can tell that Talon Esports expected the Fire to come out. That's not going to be the case.
Early picks as well out of Depp, and a good read here from CAG. Nice positions being taken up. It's going to be on Talon to try and respond as the point unlocks.
Well, they can afford to wait here because the point hasn't quite unlocked yet. They still have members available. They should still be able to contest fairly decidedly in a week's. Kind of getting away here with some decent ultimate charge.
Oh, flashback.
Not anymore, not anymore.
Outstanding, and this should be what helps unlock that point for CAG. I say unlock, I mean unlock the potential to cap. They demech Agora. Talon know better than to try and go in to save him. So that is going to be the point going the way of CAG.
The same thing just happens time and time again. TYG goes down, or really anyone could go down on the side of Talon Esports. And for Depp, just finds a flashbang. You expect a week to be able to really challenge here. Depp finds him too. Now Talon Esports going back on the 3-3. This is what they're good at, but they have to challenge high ground, and that's where Depp wants to play.
Yeah, not just 3-3, but again, that full goat. Something we're seeing less and less of, but Talon's still
flying goats.
Favoring flying goats. Yeah. But look, you see Depp coming up on that dead eye. They've already got the entrenched position here. CAG do have the tools to deal with this.
The rotations are so good from CAG, but they're on the low ground now. This is where Talon Esports wants CAG to be. It's a bit of cat and mouse. Talon Esports just want to get into this brawl. CAG want to keep backing out.
CAG do have the speed out on the Lucio as well. They can just keep that cat and mouse going. Looking for that sky high dead eye. Does not find the connection, unfortunately. Nearly had it. Now as the ball comes out on the ground, they have got a bit of that high ground, but the tanks will stay alive on the point. Gogora demechs before he could get that self-destruct thanks to Ken Mahororo. And this is Talon not getting the opening they need in the fight. Even with the Coalescence out,
it's matched
it by Savagod. Like you said, match. The transcendence is there from CAG. Rally out as well from CAG. Plenty of health here as Talon continue to lose members as we now push into those higher percentages for CAG.
Just look at the rotations coming out from CAG. Look at the positioning here. If you look at the way they move around the map, as soon as Talon Esports takes the higher ground, CAG on the ground, low ground themselves, they walk around, do a full loop-to-loop, go back onto the higher ground. Depp comes up with the Deadeye. Depp's now onto the high ground again. He's just sitting up there on his perch, uncontested. CAG are able to get away from Talon Esports, and this hide-and-seek game that CAG are playing has been very effective, 90% almost.
And again, CAG coming up on critical ultimates. Talon are a bit closer to some of theirs, but they've got to get them charged up and connected in this fight. This is the last one they get. Can they make it happen now?
Tayo has that Primal Rage. I'd like to see him use it this time. Claire with that sound barrier as well. CAG got weapons.
There's the grab to get these members up at the high ground. Self-destruct up. This is dangerous. Oh! Gagora gets the big boom. And that's what Talon really needed. Big connection there. Teo, he knows better than to commit that Primal Rage in that situation. Talon, they are going to get that cap.
So clutch from a week there, even with the slightly lower radius on the Graviton Surge, finds 3 members, connects that into the combo with the self-destruct as well. Talon Esports, they get saved there. They get to breathe a breath of fresh air as they go into this next defense. They got so much to do though, and Anakin's on a Pharaoh.
What they do have though is a lot of defensive ultimates. There is going to be a lot of help for Amagan to chip away at with these rockets when you consider the rally out at CYG. There will be a sound barrier in the middle of the fight. Now committing a coalescence, not wasting any time and finding Claire thanks to that. Nicely done by Talon, just keeping the defense on lockdown for the time being. To get the rest, now forcing CAG back. This this is going to be Talon holding on to the point for the meantime.
And the composition is actually pretty good here. Amakin's nearly onto the barrage. Dep's not too far away from a Dragon Strike as well. They just need this. Well, he's actually going to swap into Doomfist. That's actually not bad either.
Yeah.
Very good against the 3-3 goats. But either way, the barrage is available, assuming he is pocketed, assuming he doesn't die. That should give CAG advantage. That should give them a fight win and a cap out.
And the only ultimate Talon have to work with for this one is the Earth Shatter. They may be able to get a Graviton Surge in time, but it's going to be hard to connect that Shatter on these DPSs. They're really just relying on taking out the tanks. Rocket Barrage straight in, going on the back line. The Earth Shatter did come in, didn't quite see where that connected. But at any rate, the trade's in. Res on Amakin. Claire does pay for that with his life, but they're happy to make that trade.
So close.
Pressured out. Paragon. He's got to decide where to commit that nano boost if he commits it anywhere. Kinlaw Heroic will not get a self-destruct, will not get a remech. Talon are continuing the hold here, and they know only need to win one more fight.
They're starting to get flashbacks here, all the way back to Control Center, all the way back to Lijiang Towers, a 99-0 start for CAG. Now it's going to be overtime for both teams, and Amakin's going down mid-barrage again. This is a big problem for CAG, and now they don't have ults either.
This is tough, this is rough, but I have to say, Talon aren't exactly flush for ultimates in their own right. It'll only be that coalescence, and that's only if Persia survives. Does get a little bit pressured, but he is still alive. Tayo's low, Kenma Hororo as well. There's the commit from Persia as they lose Tayo. Dep as well. Talon off to a good start. Claire's slow. He needs to get the heck out.
Oh, this is it.
Claire's down, Amakin's down. It's only Kenma Hororo self-destruct. And unless he gets the same kind of mileage as Gogora, no such luck. Not on the point. 99-99, and again, it's going to fall the way of Talon. How many times is that going to happen to CAG?
And this is the problem again. You have to be able to highlight this. Go back to Lijiang Tower. Very similar situation, except this time around it's the opening round victory for Talon Esports, and you go to Control Center and you think, okay, that was a little bit too close for comfort. What if Talon Esports were just able to come back and complete it? Well, this is what it looks like, and now going into what I believe is going to be University, we already said this was probably a favored round for Talon Esports. A 2-0 would not be out of the question.
That would be rough. Again, we said that CAG, they need to get that back-to-back win. They need to win on Talon's map pick if they really want to turn the series strongly in their favor. If not, like I said, if we just go the full 7 and they trade map for map, it's theoretically Talon to take it.
Well, the opening composition for CAG, Dip onto the Hanzo here. These all good picks for CAG to be able to kind of counter out this 3-3 coach that Talon Esports do have.
Talon are aware of it. They've now got to start playing around this. It's not a hard counter necessarily. It gives you the opportunity, Talon. It gives you the opportunity to deal with this team comp as they look to commit. Trying to find the wrap around on Dep. He's going to be fine now. Yeah, able to escape, keeping Claire in the pocket. Tayo's low, but it is going to be the point slowly getting capped up by CAG. In fact, getting the connection over even as they lose Paragon.
And they finally lose a member. The other issue is Amakin isn't quite close to the barrage yet. Usually you expect them to already have this. They don't have a kill either. The only thing they do have is the point control, and they might lose that soon.
Yeah, Persia's got coalescence. That means they can just throw it down on these tanks. CAG, they know they have to give space here. They have to retreat. And that means they may just have to give up the point as well, especially with Tayo going down. Oh, no, they're connecting this one. Dragon Strike across. They res Tayo, but Amakin, he doesn't get anything with the barrage again and goes down. Talon, they haven't actually gained control of the point, though. That's the saving grace for CAG, but the fight is swinging heavily the way of Talon, even with Tayo on the point with the Primal Rage.
I think the CAG would have been very heavily favored had they reset completely. Came back in with both the Dragon Strike and also a barrage. I mean, this fight is technically not yet over. What CAG are able to do is get up a lot of progress. They're up to 45 already, so despite a losing position, they trade ultimates for point progression.
I can respect that in one regard, but what they are going to be at now is a massive ult disadvantage.
Yep.
Talon,
6.
they have the full rack of them. The moment they get the final one, the rally, they use it, get the extra health. CAG have a massive deficit to pull back from before they're going to get this point in their control again. Really.
And maybe there's a situation where CYCLOPS Athlete Gaming are able to get this 53% and then also get some ultimates back in line. They got 3, but they don't have the DPS ones. The DPS ones are what's important, so CAG, they got some farming to do.
Gonna go ahead, commit the nano boost onto Tayo, who is now stuck up in a grab, charged up against the wall as well, and goes down. That is what this comp can do from Talon, and they got all these tools. They're committing more. They want to take the fight, CAG, with the Valkyrie out. There's the Justice out. The Rocket Barrage does connect. He doesn't go down, but it did still trade back with Dep. Now Kinma Hororo forward.
Nice.
Finds a weak with the self-destruct. There's a big opportunity here now for CAG as they raise Dep. Self-destruct forward. Oh no, finds Claire. not great, but the kills are coming in now for CAG. They've managed to reset, and they've kept Amakin in the fight. Talon do know that this is a tight spot for them. They just have to back up.
It's so difficult, though. They need to be able to get this capture, and Talon Esports is still in. Technically, the members are still alive. They want to be able to re-enter here. There it is, finally.
And now Gagora is still losing mech because Talon decided to not back fully off, and then the cat went over. This is now a bit of a tough situation. Not ideal for them, but they are still getting kills.
It's good cleanup now. This is definitely winnable. Winnable, even with the Nanoburst coming out. That's going to really speed up that barrage progress.
Yeah.
Dragon Strike also thrown in there. So actually, both sides kind of get something out of it. You got 2 ultimates out of CAG. You also then, you know, for Talon Esports, you kind of walk away with a loss, but it's not a complete loss on that fight.
I mean, that's what they were fishing for at that point. You know, when you're in that losing situation where you've already lost the point and your members are still dying, getting those ultimates out is actually a pretty nice trade-off.
Oh, good angle.
Oh, shit! The game has to block in, has to turn away, baseball instead, but a weak is low. That to separate TYG with the rally, Villanyo low, and they're just trying to collapse in on these members. But
grab online.
Close out the kills. There is the grab onto Tayo, but a weak slow, they get the connection, get the kill. They need to get these in here. CAG, where are the kills coming through? They have not closed out these members. Finally finding Persia, finally getting some mileage as they find TYG on the back line. Now starting to drill down a weak, even as he trades off with Savagon. Gagora, he will throw out a self-destruct.
Tayo, no.
That is a nice sound barrier, saves Gagora. He gets back in the mech. There's still tank and support presence here, and a coalescence coming up for Persia. CAG, they might not be able to win this.
CAG should give this one up now. They lost too many members. Amakin's going to attempt. It's not ideal. This is not where you want to be using the barrage. I don't see Amakin changing heroes here either. So for CAG, this is what it looked like when the stars don't align. I mean, Tayo gets his primal rage just as he dies. It's unfortunate that Amakin kind of just throws out that rocket barrage, attempts to save the point. They don't need to do that. They're not fishing for extra percentage points. They already got the 99%. They know they can give it up. They know they can come back in.
They only have to contend with that one Earth Shatter, but that can still be a dangerous ultimate if it gets the connection. There it is on Death and Savagon! That is terrible for CAG! And now Amakin and Claire in the sky is getting pressured. Looking to charge back now. Villanyo
that pin as well.
Who was running that primal rage out. Kenma Hororo has to take a dive here. They found Haru and they've got just enough time for one last fight.
Yep, 8% remaining, and CAG are going to get Kenma Hororo back in time, but they have no ultimates. Everyone is freshly out.
This is just going to be frag for frag. Talon don't exactly have ultimates if they're over there, closer to having those big impact downs. It's going to be a coalescence. The first ultimate out in the fight. Kenma Hororo doesn't have a self-destruct yet. That's not great. Amakin slow getting pressured out. Needs to find a big barrage, but they know it's coming, and he's in the grab. He's going to go down. Talon clean it up, and again, the heartbreak for CAG. 99 to 99, but it's Talon. They're going to close it out. They're going to hold on there. 2-0 on Oasis. I don't care how close it's been. The map's trading back and forth. Now put Talon in that winning situation. It is match point for Talon.
And this time you can't really say it was unlucky for CAG or anything. So many of the mistakes made, small mistakes, small errors that end up costing them big time. Just the discipline towards the end. We've talked about the fact that for a team like CAG, when they get into a losing scenario, when they are behind, it's how they end up recovering. Now, when you look at some of the other push maps, when there's a card involved, when there's different objectives to a control map, you get to fully hold A. That's nice. That's somehow, some way that Talon Esports, or rather for CAG, that they can get these wins. But when you get into control, it's been Talon Esports on both of these control maps, and I mean, just once again, it's the team that's picking the maps is getting the victories.
And that's the real tight spot here for CAG because of that first loss on Lijiang Tower. It puts them at that one map deficit. They have yet to turn that back in their favor. So now, in that dire situation, they do get to pick the next map, rather, but they must win it, and then they must take out that very last one if they want to keep this alive. It is Talon at match point. We are going to see what could be those final 2 maps, or maybe just our final one after this short break, so don't go anywhere. And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for sticking with us through that brief break. I know it's kind of heating up a little bit, so we've had a couple of minutes to cool down. But, of course, now we do, at long last, at the end of 5 games, have someone at match point. These teams have traded back and forth exactly as close as we expected, but it could all end here. If Talon get this, they take the title.
And the good news for CAG, as the team that's currently facing a potential loss here with Talon, like you said, and match point, is we are going to go back to, I believe, a hybrid map, or at least another push map, something where they can get a potential another full hold. It's not going to be another control, so that's something that goes into their favor. It's also their map pick, so expecting this to be tied up 3-3.
I would certainly hope so for one thing, but that does mean we go to that full 7. We touched on this a little bit before the break, but when you've got these kinds of series where teams trade back and forth, the team that's won the first one inherently has the advantage. It's the team that lost that first map that has to turn things around. They have to get the 2 consecutive wins if they want a chance in the series. CAG have had now 2 opportunities to do that. They will get 1 more opportunity to do that if they win this next map, and they may not even get that. It could all end here. We could be about to crown our new champion.
Yeah, and then if you've been paying attention, I mean, it's been Assault and Control they've been losing, and if you look at here, now moving into map number 6, it's King's Road. It's the only other hybrid choice available. It's not super ideal in terms of if you had to choose between 2, you choose like Involved, that's already out of the pool because it's already been won by CAG, so you got to go to the only remaining pick here. So going into a map like King's Row, it does kind of still favor Talon in the sense that you have the 3-3 goats available for certain points here, but then also, I mean, look at defensively, look at some of the attacks here. You can play a little Widowmaker. Sombra's still a big pick here. We know CAG have been playing a lot of both.
And now Talon on the cusp of taking it out, beating out Monster Shield Korea, the arguable favorite coming into this playoffs, having actually beaten Talon in the last week of the regular season. That was a big turnaround for Talon, and they've kept that momentum going now on the cusp of taking out this grand final.
And really hoping to see here the Sombra Doomfist. It's been such a almost defining combination of DPS picks for a lot of teams on this current patch, on this current meta as well. And for CAG, it's going to be Sombra and Genji, Anakin, and Dip, this combo. But it's a lot of that backline pressure. It's a lot of that Clear and Sabagod surviving that I'm really interested in here because they've been receiving definitely a lot of pressure from Talon Esports. But that's when Talon Esports have been playing a lot more flankers, a lot more of the Sombras and the Traces and stuff like that. It is, of course, Talon Esports, though, so you do also expect them. Why not just continue playing GOATs?
Exactly. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Sticking on the 3-3. Even Bazzi, though.
Not quite. It's like a 1-2-3 now, but we'll take it.
Yeah. Thing flicks the Bazzi out onto the Sombra. That is also something that has worked well for them as they come out the gates on their initial attack.
Oh, this is going to be a long flank. They're going to go all the way back behind and get onto the high ground as well. I think they're going like super far behind here. I would expect CAG, if they should be able to know this is happening, because when you have a team like Talon Esports going that far in a rotation, I mean, this has to be obvious.
Anakin, I mean, he knows it's there, but he can't just stay up there in the thick of it. Oh dear! Meanwhile, Bazzi stuck around the backline, finds Claire out as CAG tried to move to avoid Talon, make some space for themselves. So a great set up there from Talon, closing out those kills. CAG, they do not have much left on this point.
I want to tell you where we've seen this before. It's Bazzi Wedding and Spawn with the Widowmaker. This is LA Gladiators in their playoffs match against London Spitfire. I mean, back then, you didn't know that Shore 4 was going to be on the Widowmaker. This time around, Talon Esports, they probably didn't even need Bazzi on the Widow. They rotate around so quickly. They were able to get back onto the camp. They were able to find the picks even without the Widowmaker.
That was pretty smooth, all things considered. It's on CAG to answer, but I gotta say, fighting Bazzi is a pretty good way to start that one off. But now they can actually take a fight here as this payload is still coming out onto the map. They can try and defend it this archway. And
it's important because now Talon Esports do come up on some ultimates. You've got to bait some of them out. Here's that Shatter.
Onto Tayo, finds that one. Couldn't quite save him out there. Gets the momentum going now for Talon. Kenma Hororo as well, late DMAC on that one, so this is more momentum now. Talon can start running down.
That's a surprising EMP.
Yeah, that's a big EMP they're committing there. Anakin does at least get some kills for it, but that was not great from CAG. Talon's still in the fight, the payload's still moving.
And this is part of where CAG kind of lack, and we've seen times before on all the other maps played so far where they're really seriously losing. They should probably consider not using these ultimates, just waiting for the reset. They have time to play with, they have space to play with. They don't need to be giving these away, and now they're down an EMP, a very big tool they could have used.
It's a little bit troublesome for CAG. out of them. Anakin, though, he's now going on to the Doomfist. They're committing in. Nano Boost is caught up, though, in the grab. Paragon to come in, try to save themselves. The strike still finds Anakin, though, and the D-Mech of Ken Mahororo. Talon again taking the early lead in this fight. The momentum so far has gone unchecked. CAG still not even getting kills in response.
They have gotten all the ultimates out of Talon Esports, but they themselves now are seriously lacking.
Oh, Ken was just about to get back in the mech. That is so unfortunate. Depth as well, just trying to harass. It's all on Tayo to try and keep this one stalled. And again, they're still not getting picks here as this payload approaches the cap.
The best thing they can do is force the sound barrier out from Haru, maybe give away the cap, and that's assuming they actually lose this. And now starting to come up online. Transcendence is available. That was a missed shatter as well, so there is opportunity.
A big one, but they do lose Tayo. Trading back though, Gagora gets out of the mech despite the sound barrier. Now they go for the big commit. Bazzi finds his counterpart, not great for Anakin. And they're just keeping the pressure on. The cap came through as well in just under 5 minutes to close out this map. Looking good for Talon.
Some decent store up there. The EMP kind of helped there. Still not really an ideal EMP. When you get something like that for CAG, it's just an unfortunate case where they don't have all 6 members. They want to be able to have all 6 when the EMP comes down. Dep's going to go into Widow here. Anakin's staying onto the Doomfist, really close to that meteor strike. He could probably even change to a fire if things get really risky.
And for the first time, we're not getting a full hold. In fact, for the first time, we might get that full cap out here. If Talon keep this up, they are just looking good. Finally, though, there is the counter. TYG bumped off the edge, and that is finally going to be where CAG draw their line in the sand. They are finally going to stop up the momentum of Talon.
And that's a big kill because the Graviton Surges have been so deadly for Talon Esports, basically on every map played, every scenario where they've dropped it. Just running that down, combo with something like the self-destruct, which Gagora does have as well. That's been a game winner for Talon Esports so far.
CYCLOPS Athlete Gaming, though, just looking to go forward, get aggressive on the dive, but they're not getting the quick commit and early conversion of kills that they need, so Talon can just kind of absorb that ultimate. Wait.
You really need to see Ken Mahororo here kind of sit on top of TYG, stop him from getting this perfect Graviton Surge.
Really their one hope.
Oh, it's gone!
Nicely done by Ken Mahororo. Takes that tool off the board. Now they're just throwing out the self-destruct blind, hoping that it connects. Anakin does go down though on the dive, but they finally close off on Haru. CAG as well with the closer respawns have weathered most of the storm of Talon. It's only the Earth Shatter that can come in here. Does get Tayo, who had the nano boost running, but there we go. The closeout finally in. Haven't moved the payload too much, but they've still got some momentum going.
There's 3 minutes 04 still remaining onto the board. Talon Esports now getting advantage, but every single time they get a trade, Dep's been able to, at least in this fight, get one back in response. That's going to allow CAG to get the respawns in as this cart reaches the final destination.
This is just so unfortunate for CAG. They haven't been able to close out kills on the members that get low. And that means Talon, even when they've lost members, even when they've sort of lost fights, they've been able to complete resetting, and now they're in again with these ultimates. The grab is there. Only gets Paragon running that Transcendence out. The Coalescence is there from Persia, but it is Gagora's mech the first casualty. Can CAG close out that kill? Can they get a bit more now that, again, they've weathered those ultimates?
Now, this is the opening here. Self-destruct is going to miss, but it's going to allow Anakin to get TYG down. Villeneuve as well means 2 tanks disabled. Talon Esports likely to have to back up.
Yeah, Dep finally had a bit of space to work with. Anakin as well, not losing his life this time around. Losing Bazzi late. Finally, CAG again getting an opportunity to create a defense.
And they get to use defensive tools in that next fight as well. Tayo with the Primal Rage. You can see the Nano Boost coming from Clear as well. Either on Anakin or Tayo, both great recipients of that Nano Boost. And for CAG, this next fight is very defendable.
Troublesome times. Potentially, because it is also still one good fight away for a Talon cap. So CAG backs against the wall as they lose Anakin, and he had that meteor strike. They popped the nano boost onto Tayo, but he didn't really find anything with it. That's so many times that's happened for CAG.
We need to see Talon Esports move up a little bit further for CAG to make those kind of plays happen. You have Tayo still with this primal. No, he doesn't anymore.
Headshot from TYG. This is an opening for Talon. This is where they want to capitalize. Get back on the payload while CAG is still hemorrhaging. Throwing out the Dragon Strike does not really get any kind of connection, but at any rate, they found the kill on Anakin. CAG in a real tight spot here.
CSG need to be able to reset. They're still bleeding members out and they have ultimates to play with. We need to see the Transcenders come through. We need to see a few more picks.
Finally finding Golgora, and they can send Tayo forward at long last. Self-destruct in from Ken Mahororo as well. No connection, but it creates that critical space. They still lose Tayo though. This keeps happening. Their tanks get low and they don't get the opportunity to top them off.
At least in this moment though, Talon Esports aren't quite onto the card just yet. There are still defensive ultimates available for CAG. Tayo back online. Here comes that Dragon Strike though.
Rakes across them. Ken Mahororo. Hold on. Did that get eaten?
I think it's gone.
That got eaten. Oh, that is exceptional. And an nano boost on Ken Mahororo means they find Villain Yo just in the nick of time, rezzing him in. The snipers do get some connection, but they can get respawned in here. CAG, they had that closer one. Even as these kills come through, trades are good for them. Only 20 seconds left as Persian drops. Villain Yo's got to pop this. Doesn't get a chance. Talon, only 15 seconds.
There's no way Villain Yo actually primals there. If he does, he dies with it. If he does, he just delays the inevitable, gets the self-destruct out of Talon Esports, gets them out of Golgora as well. Just more tools that Talon Esports loses. 5 seconds now remaining.
They don't have much to play with, but neither does CAG. That being said, Anakin coming close to a Dragon Blade, that's got to be the critical tool if they can get it up. They got to keep him alive though. He takes some punishment, but there we go. Punch Persia.
Blade online.
Oh, they're not even on the payload, and they have managed to make a hold happen there. Self-destruct beautifully placed on the middle of that one. That was dicey. That was very dicey for CAG, but they did at least get the hold.
And they needed to be able to just reset themselves. You could see in the middle some of those defenses got a little over-eager. Prime example would have to be Nano Boost onto Tayo, who jumps in pretty deep in there. You also see Anakin try and follow up, gets instantly sniped up by Bazzi, but the real kicker is where the rest of CAG, they're not really in position to make the support plays happen. They're not in position to be able to help those divers get in there. So Tayo kind of ends up wasting that Nano Boost a little bit, just buys a little bit of space that CAG can't actually be able to use. Anakin got to wait for the full respawn, and things just look a little bit tougher. You also have moments where, I mean, you lose Tayo reasonably early, and I mean, he's the main tank. That's going to happen sometimes, happening probably a little bit too often for CAG's liking, but then they're able to just stall out a little bit longer, wait for him to come back in, and they get that defense still. So it's one of those kind of situations where this is the kind of CAG we see on those A defenses. When we look at Eichenwalder, right, this is the kind of defense that we're likely to see on Gibraltar as well. This is where CAG get to make that kind of recovery play. Unfortunately, it happens on C, but they do actually get it.
It's kind of interesting. Feels like a bit of the discipline slip for CAG. We also saw, you know, among those nano boosts that didn't really get what they were looking for, there was also that EMP on the streets phase that was really too late to be impactful. But once they got that discipline back, they do start to really look good on the defense. So if they can maintain that now on the offense, if they can cap this out, they've set themselves up for that potential win. And when they've done that in the past, they have been able to make good on that.
I think there's definitely situations here for CAG where they can afford to lose a fight, where they can afford to say, yep, this one's done for. Let's just fully reset here, conserve some ultimates, and come back stronger for a better reset. And that's not happening nearly enough for CAG, and it's partly why they're bleeding out so much in a lot of these losing fights.
Keeping depth on this Widowmaker. Do very much like it, and it pays off. There
he likes it a lot too.
Beautiful. Never get tired of it.
Not resible either. There's no mercy on the other end. 6 versus 5. CAG need to make some space here. Look, that first tick nearly being capped out.
Nicely done. No contest just yet, so that's the first tick. Effectively for free, thanks to that opening pick on Bazzi. How are Talon going to respond? This is soon to be a second tick. There we go. Finally get the tanks to the point.
Oh, CAG's already evaded them though. You can see CAG's actually on the flank here, picks himself up Persia, so if you want the tanks from Talon Esports to get onto the point, that's fine and dandy, except how do you defend your back line? You don't.
And now these tanks are just alone on the point. Everyone else got picked out. There's no DPS members to get counter trades. There's no support members to heal up the tanks. That is so beautifully executed from CAG to get the cap.
I've got to say, that's the perfect execution of objective pressure. This is what happens when you start taking ticks off the board and Talon Esports have to respond. It's tanks that have to get on there, but if the tanks go, well, no one protects the supports, and CAG clean up the backside.
Now CAG looking to just get that payload underway. It's going to be on Talon to find a spot to dig in their heels, maybe looking for this archway.
Well, this is a nice rotation from Talon Esports. It did take some time, but it's time they can afford to take because the card is only just reaching the archway now, and they're able to get there for a contest.
Here's the commit. On the ground, CAG looking to give themselves a bit of space to work with. Tayo low now. Claire, though, is the first casualty, and there's the wrap around from Talon. Now it's the tanks finally going down. Tayo and Kenmo Hororo losing the mech there at the end. And they're not going to stagger him out. They're going to force him to reset that one in the spawn.
And look at the timing for the ultimates on CAG as well. Just coming out now, Transcendence, nearly the Nano boost as well, nearly the Dragon Blade just before he died. As they're respawning, they get the ultimates. Had that engagement for Talon taken a little bit longer, CAG could have probably continued that push.
That being said, because those ultimates, CAG are in a good position to get the payload back in their possession. Very good commit in forward, and now the Nano Blades have come out. Needs to be aware of that crowd control. Hitting away at the Diva Meg, that's not your ideal target, and instead finds nothing. Sleep on Villeneuve is nice. And it's Talon committing forward here at CAG. Low, Claire goes down, and now they're just throwing ultimates at the wind. Unfortunately, Talon, they've really maintained control of this space.
And that blade was just a little bit too telegraphed. You can see Anakin going there quite deep there, receives the Nano Boost, and Talon Esports just say, we'll back up, we'll let you come in, we'll just isolate you 6 versus 1 if you like. It's a Nano Boost onto a Genji, but that's only 300 effective HP. That's not a lot. You can still burn through quite quickly.
But how slick that point A cap is, this is not that same discipline. We need to see things tidied up a little bit. Double self-destruct. Neither gets the connection though. CAG are starting to move forward past the Sarge wave, but still not getting the kills. Still not even getting them as low. That's Shadow from Villeneuve. Kenmo Hororo's on his back. Pops out of the mech now. Persia's going to be the one who gets that connection. And even with Bazzi and CYG again getting so low, the closeout has not been there for CAG. They have not got the kills.
And the problem here is they're able to just, lose a lot of resources. Talon Esports getting such great value out of their own ultimates and now able to rotate into further ultimates. You can see the difference in that first fight loss for CAG, how much of a difference it's starting to make. That you died on such high ultimate charges, just didn't quite get the ultimates because they got stopped up now. Talon Esports are snowballing through these advantages.
This is not how you want it to end if you're CAG. They're certainly not out of this one just yet. Still just under 3 minutes remaining. But man, oh man, they've got to change the tune of these fights. Gogora popped out of the mech despite the sound barrier, not quite in time to save that one. But Anakin low has to pop a meteor strike, looking for some of the back line. Maybe gonna find CYG. No, he goes down to the fire strike from Villeneuve. And again, CAG, they've just not got a critical mass of kills. They finally find Bazzi, and this should be an entry, but they're still not closing out these last
they are now.
At long last with these tanks low, they find Villeneuve, they find Gogora, Dip shows up, and CAG at last get the payload back in their possession.
And this is what happens when you allow Dip to get a lot of free damage in there. The sports can't quite keep up with the healing as well. You saw how low the Talon Esports members were for so long in that fight as well. CAG able to finally push through. Not a lot of time, only 2 minutes. This allows Talon Esports to kind of muster themselves, kind of get in for that last point defense, or the last attempt on the defense on this beat checkpoint, and then nearly onto the grab.
There's a Dragon Strike straight out, tries to split up Talon, and someone succeeds, I have to say. But Kenmo Hororo still having to pop a self-destruct to re-mech. And again, the kills have not been there yet. Now it's Talon's turn. They look to come back in with their ultimates. Oh, avoids the defense matrix. Don't even need the self-destruct. Villeneuve finds 2 with the fire strike. Talon looking to again make a hold happen. CAG really starting to run out of time now.
And this is where the deadliness out of that Graviton Surge really comes through for Talon Esports. Again, time after time, if it doesn't get inked by Kenmo Hororo, they get results out of it. Late kill to Claire as well. They do have a Nano Boost coming online, and it's still just a really difficult place for CAG to fight in. Nearly about 1 minute remaining. This could be it. This could be where the grand final goes to Talon Esports.
And man, oh man, CAG.
Look at where they're hiding.
Oh, this is so great for them. CAG, like we said, so short on time. If they lose a fight here, they're going to lose it quick, smart. And that's to say nothing of the ult sit with Talon. Straight in, they find Paragon. They've spotted the rotation from CAG. Just over 45 seconds remaining. Tayo now trying to go into full retreat. Does not get out with his life. Will Deb be able to do it? Talon, they're having to just take that one. They know that they've put CAG in a dire spot.
And this time, CAG just happy to back out. I mean, not too happy overall considering how much time is remaining. Anakin, final attempt onto the fire as well. This is it. This has to be where CAG can continue the push. The good news is, at least Talon Esports are in a more predictable place, but the bad news is, final push remaining, 20 seconds on the clock.
This is looking rough. CAG, such a story, such a great team. There we go though, they found Persia. No coalescence to come out. The Dragon Strike splits up the squad of Talon. They've got to get the kills, the thing that they have failed to do. And the sound barrier makes it that much harder. Anakin stretches it out, barely gets back out. And now they are on the payload itself. Paragon with that transcendence, but again,
Grab online.
self-destruct is going to find Abigail if he's not careful. No, it does find Claire. Grab the Heroro. It's overtime. They're running short. Talon, they see it in their grasp. They want to make it happen here and now. Earthscatter across the site. Coalitions finds Anakin. It's the last hurrah.
It's just
CAG. They're not going to take it to the 7th. It's not happening. Talon have done it. Talon are your champions. Talon take the Contenders Season 2 crown.
And this is it. This young Korean squad, freshly rebuilt just for Season 2. First time in the Grand Finals. And first time victors here as well. We have never had a repeat winner in the entire Pacific history. Every Premier tournament has crowned a new champion, and now Talon Esports get to join that pantheon of Pacific winners.
And now third Korean squad in a row to take that title as well. They keep that legacy alive. Even though no single team has got the 2 consecutive wins, you cannot deny the caliber of these players. We said it would be a close series. We said it would be a long series. It is Talon who are going to take that one out 4-2, collecting their handshakes. So well deserved. A team that got knocked out of the quarterfinals in Season 1 to now come back and take the victory. And with that, the Contenders Cup is theirs.
You can see the smiles on their faces as well. You know how much they had to fight for this. You can see how much they wanted this, and it is so deserving of them as well to be able to finally lift that cup.
You've got to say though, CAG, they did put up one hell of a fight. A team that has been so enjoyable to watch, so easy to get behind as well for the entirety of this. So far that Japanese squad has come, but it will not quite be the royal road for them this time around. Talon are going to stop that one short, and you've got to say, it is so deserved for them to stop that one up. They did the same to Monster Shield Korea. This is almost a professional spoiler team, and they are so deserving of that cup.
And that's the thing, right? You never expected Talon Esports to be here, grand finalists, probably even not, but they prove everyone wrong. They say, we're going to get to the grand finals. Not only that, we're going to win. We're going to beat CYCLOPS Athlete Gaming, the only undefeated team in the entire season up until this point. This is the first loss for CAG in this tournament, and the one that really hurts, the one that really counts. But to speak for CAG as well, to speak in their favor, this is still a monumental result. You got to look at the history of the region as well. We've had 4 different Japanese squads since the dawn of, the Pacific region. You look at OWC, the Pacific Championship, you had Sun Sister, Detonator Gold. Following that, you had Liberland Supreme, and then Yoshimoto and Kale. So many versions of Japanese players, and really World Cup caliber players as well. AKTM played last season. We've had a lot of Japan in the Pacific region, and this is the best result they've ever had. It is a fantastic result when you consider how poor, unfortunately to say, the results have been in the past. This one they can be pleased with.
And a lot of those players as well played on those previous Japanese teams, every single one of which bottomed out, got relegated. That even includes Coach XQQ, but this is a new thing for Japan. They can be very proud of what they've accomplished, even though they fell short of the mark, but you've really got to hand it to the victors. Talon Esports are our Season 2 champions. I want to see them again come back for Season 3. They were there in Season 1. It feels like for the first time we may have the beginnings of a dynasty being established. We should be seeing them returning next season, and then the pressure is on for someone to answer this new titan.
And Talon Esports said to us, look, they would have been happy with the top 4 finish. They do much better than that. Go to the grand finals. They don't even come second. They come first. They lift the cup. They get to crown themselves champions. And for both the teams, CAG and also Talon Esports, seeing them back in Season 3, seeing whatever versions of them come back, and seeing how they play, seeing all the other teams as well, how Season 3 pans out, I cannot wait to be able to experience that.
But of course, that is it for Season 2. An exceptional playoffs all across the board, and a wonderful grand final to cap it off. As always, it has been an honor and a privilege to cover this region, to see these teams and how far they have all come. Congratulations to Talon. That is us now for the Contenders Pacific Season 2. But of course, we are not done for this weekend. There is still some great Overwatch coming up as we return first thing tomorrow as we continue the Bangkok stage of the Overwatch World Cup. Be sure to tune in for that. For now, good night.